Hey, hello. So today we're going to be working into a therapeutic spine class. So the spine comprises the cervical spine, the thoracic of the upper back, moving down to midway, and then we move into the lumbar or lower spine at the bottom, including the pelvic bowl and the shoulder girdle. So we're working the whole back of the trunk today. We're looking for very gentle therapeutic movements, and what we're trying to do is create an openness and also a stabilization at the same time. So if you have any limited range of motion in any of these areas, into the shoulders or the pelvis or the mid-back or wherever it is, just remember to really focus on what the sensation of the movement is. Err on the side of caution, don't over-exaggerate any movements and cause any discomfort, but really try to work into that sensation of both stabilization and openness at the same time. If you just flop open into a pose, you're not actually getting the benefit of the practice, and if you're too stiff in the pose, again, you're limiting your benefit. It's finding that balance that's really important. So we're going to start coming into a Supta Konasana using a rolled up mat or a rolled up towel. If you have a very open back, you can place a pillow underneath your back as well, but a rolled up mat is the ideal prop to use. You're going to come to lie on your back, and you're going to bring the soles of your feet together with the knees wide. You can have an additional blankie if that feels good. And then when you lie onto the mat, you want to just touch the bottom of the shoulder blades. You're going to bring the arms over. So we're working into the upper torso, into the upper back. And if you feel like you want to adjust the alignment slightly, lifting it up or lowering it down, this is the time to do that. It's very important that your head comfortably touches the floor and that there's no discomfort in the neck. I'm going to start to connect to your Ujjayi breath here. If at any point you need to move your prop out from underneath your back, you are welcome to do so. And then just lying flat in your Supta Konasana. Let's start to shift the breath now into 3-part breath. Inhaling belly, ribs, chest, exhaling chest, ribs, and belly. Let the breath flow up your body and back down. Breathing into each part, but still maintaining a flow between the 3 different parts. See if you can relax the shoulders, relax the neck a little bit more. Connecting into this really lovely chest opening pose. So this thoracic area is very problematic for a lot of people. We tend to become quite round-shouldered when we sit at desks for a long time. So we're just reversing the alignment of our regular seated position. helping to spread the lungs, spread the shoulders, and pushing the heart center forward. Let's take one more round of breath. And then you're going to draw the knees together, lifting up by pressing elbows down and coming up onto the elbows, sitting all the way up. Cross your ankles in front of you and round your back, bringing your head towards your knees. Don't over exaggerate this, just a gentle release. And then lifting yourself back up, you're now going to take your rolled up mat and bring it underneath your sacrum. So it's very important to get it under the pelvis. It's not into the arch of the lower back, but further down under the sacrum. I like to do this by coming down first and then lifting my hips to slide the mat underneath the sacrum. This time the feet are going to come wide and the knees are going to come together. So we have a lot of external rotation in the hips in our yoga poses, and now we're internally rotating, so we're turning the knees towards one another, and this is going to lengthen the lower back. You'll feel how the sitting bones spread apart. You're now going to cross your arms over the chest and bring the fingertips towards the shoulder blades. We can slightly improve this alignment by now lifting the pubic bone towards the belly button. Make sure it's quite gentle, it should feel fairly natural, and it should be a sensation of lengthening into that lower back and a broadening of the SI joints, separating them wider. I'm going to hold here for a few breaths. Connecting into Ujjayi. You're welcome to close your eyes. Turning your awareness inwardly. Stay in the pose. We're just going to switch the hands around. Open the arms first on an inhale, and then crossing the opposite arm over the top. And again, broadening into the back body. Let's take 2 more rounds of breath here. And then release those arms, bring them out wide for a moment to relax the shoulders. And then bring the feet hip distance wide, lifting the hips up and moving your mat out from underneath you. When you come down, curl the tailbone so that you're lowering from upper to lower back in the correct order. You're now going to bring your mat under the back of your head. So creating a little pillow for the head. Bring the feet so they are flat to the floor, hip distance wide, and fairly solid on the ground. So you can press the lower back into the mat. Don't over exaggerate it. You want a very slight arch into the lumbar, just about a finger space high. Press the upper back down into the mat. And now take the heel of your hand and start to push against your forehead, at the same time lowering your chin gently towards the chest. And we're working into the back of the neck here. Slide the shoulders down and then draw the chin in a little bit more. Bring the heel of the hand now to the side of the skull. Press your hand against your head. Press your head against your hand and open your elbow wide. And relax. Take it to the other side. Head against hand, hand against head, and then open your elbow wide. And gently release. Bringing your hands now to interlock behind the skull. Start to use your hands to lift your head. So you're not using your head or your neck or your back muscles, but rather you're using your arms to passively lift the head. Start to open your elbows wider, engage into the tummy muscles, not the back, not the neck. Use the arms to lift you a bit higher, opening the elbows a bit wider. Engage into the tummy muscles to lift a bit more. Remembering the neck is passive here. Let's do that one more time. Lift the head higher, open the elbows wider, engage into the tummy muscles even more. Make sure the neck is relaxed. And then slowly lower the head back down. Release the hands down. They can just rest lightly onto the mat either side of you. You're now going to use your right hand to push your head. Relax the neck. And then when you move the hand, you flop to center. Left hand now to push the head. And then flop to center. So the arm and the hand is doing the work. We're going to move from side to side, flop to center. The neck is totally relaxed. And flop to center. The more you can relax your neck and your head, the easier that passive flop will become. If you find you're having to work quite hard to come back to center, you are not quite in the right space with the relaxation of the neck. Do one more and back to center. Moving your mat now out the way, you're going to hug the knees into the chest. Flatten now from the back of the skull down into the upper back, the middle back, the lower back, and press the tailbones towards the floor. So instead of curling the hips in, you're pressing them back down towards the floor, but at the same time encouraging the lower back to flatten. Now you're going to maintain that alignment in your spine as you come into a upside down tabletop. So you're pressing the lower back into the mat, getting a nice light activation into the belly. Working into opposite extensions, we're going to bring the right arm and the left leg into extension. Come back to center on your inhale, and then the left arm and right leg into extension. Coming back on an inhale. Move at your own pace now. You can lift your leg higher if you feel that the core isn't strong enough to bring the leg towards the earth. Remember, you want to maintain that flat lower back as you move into your opposite extension. And if you're doing this properly, you should feel how the core is strongly activating to create stabilization, and how the lower back is pressing into the mat, creating a lovely stabilization into the QLs and the erector spinae. It's come back to center on the next breath and then hug the knees to the chest. Little gentle roll from side to side. Flattening into the lower back as you roll. And now rounding into the back by hugging your face to your knees to your face, lifting the upper back off the floor, curl the tailbone in, try to make contact between head and knees. And then it's gently released back down. Coming into the reverse tabletop again. You can continue with your opposite stretch if that feels appropriate for you. Or if you want to step it up a bit further, we're coming into the double stretch now. So both arms and both legs extend out on your exhale breath. And again, you can lift the legs as high as you need to accommodate the lower back, or start to lower the legs towards the floor if you have control and stabilization into that lumbar region. Moving as fast or as slow as your body is ready to go. As long as you're keeping the movement mindful and controlled, you have a bit of freedom to explore this in your own way. Again, the arms can lower towards the floor or come at a 45-degree angle, depending on what's happening with your shoulders and your neck. Let's do one more, and then drawing the knees to the chest. Little gentle roll from side to side. Okay, making your way to sit now. Either roll to the side of the body to sit up, or we're going to rock like a ball, massaging the spine as you rock. Make sure the spine is really round. And then all the way up to sit. Let's come into a cross-leg position. And then bringing the hands onto the front of the knees. As you inhale, lean your body forward, opening the chest, opening the chin. And then as you exhale back, you're going to round into the spine. Flowing your way through a seated cat-cow pose. Inhale to open and exhale to close the front body. And then inhale, coming back into neutral spine. On the inhale breath, float the hands to the sky. Allow the shoulders to soften down away from the ears and feel the spine growing as tall as you possibly can. On the exhale, twisting to the right. And gently rotate into the spine. Remember to engage the lower belly muscles to support the pelvis. Inhale, coming back up to center. Grow the spine, not the shoulders. The fingers do reach up, but the shoulders reach down. And then twisting to the other side. On the inhale breath, lifting yourself back up. Let's twist to the right, not as deep this time. Twisting to the right. And now tucking chin to chest as you start to lower your head towards the floor. Anchor your sitting bones on the other side. And we're creating a lovely traction along the side body. You can deepen the twist if there's space, or deepen the fold if that is available to you. Just close your eyes here and feel into your body. Where is there tension? Where is there space to go further? How does the breath affect your body? And now you're going to let your opposite hip start to lift slightly as you lower the head down towards the mat. If you can get your head to touch, that's great. If it's not quite there, that's absolutely fine. Just keep relaxing the opposite hip down, even if it doesn't touch the floor. And then coming all the way up to sit again. Float the hands up to the sky. And then extend your body forward. Dropping at the last moment, melting the heart, melting the elbows. And then curl yourself back up to sit. Switch the legs around. Different leg in front. Let's inhale, floating up. And exhale to twist. So don't twist too deeply to begin. Just come into a manageable space, and then we're working into the side stretch, dropping chin to chest and reaching the head down. So for the first few breaths, we're anchoring the opposite hip firmly to the mat, creating a cross fiber pull as one side of the body reaches down and the other side of the body reaches in the opposite direction. You can slowly deepen the twist or deepen the fold according to what your body allows. And now we're going to allow the hip to lift as we encourage the head towards the floor as deep as possible. Allow the opposite hip to remain heavy though, to try and encourage that cross fiber pull with more of a passive movement this time. And then inhaling all the way up. Let's float the hands up to the sky and then extend the body forward. Engage, 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 and then release at the last moment, flopping down. On the inhale, walk your hands back up under the shoulders. Let's come over onto hands and knees. And flowing now through a regular cat-cow pose. So you should already feel as though the spine is a little bit warmer than when we normally do this in the practice. And normally this is one of the first few postures we come into, and we've done quite a bit of work already this morning. Breathing into this movement. And you'll notice whether the body is more comfortable in the cat or into the cow. And you're going to take a few extra seconds in the posture that you're less comfortable in. You don't need to stagnate the movement. We don't need to exaggerate or exert. You're just placing a little bit more emphasis in your less flexible direction. The next time you come into your cat pose, the rounding of the back, you're going to hold here. Tuck your chin to your chest. Broaden the shoulder blades. Tuck your tailbone all the way into your belly button. Really engage into the tummy. Feel like the tummy is lifting the spine, that the arms don't have to do as much work, and that the tummy is engaging to round your back. And then we're going to inhale to drop down into the cow pose. Lifting the chin, lifting the chest. And now sort of drag the hands towards you as you puff your heart center open even more. Be mindful not to over exaggerate the lower back. try and keep this energetic movement into the chest. Spread your sitting bones by trying to push your thighs outwardly. And then inhale back into a neutral spine. Moving now into puppy pose. So for those of you who've got shoulder issues, you're going to bring your issued hand to the floor, or your issued shoulder to the floor. Reach the other hand forward, resting your head to your hand. If you don't have shoulder issues, you're going to bring both hands forward, lowering the forehead to the mat. And again, this is a lovely deep opening into the upper back, the thoracic space. Try to imagine that your armpits are going to move to the back body. So you're squeezing those shoulder blades together. Take note of what that does to the body. And now we're going to move the shoulder blades apart, bringing the armpits towards one another, separating and elongating that space. And notice how that affects the body. And I'll come into a neutral space where we're neither exaggerating in either direction. And just relax your chest towards the mat. On your inhale breath, start to walk yourself back into your tabletop. And then coming to sit onto your heels. If you can't sit onto your heels because of ankle or knee issues, you can sit on your mat. Place your mat underneath your heels to give you a bit more comfort. Let's inhale to open the chest, opening the spine. And then coming into eagle arms, wrapping left elbow underneath right. Start to lift your elbows, push your forearms away. And breathe deeply into this space. We're now going to engage into bandhas to lift up onto the knees. Squeeze your thighs. Start to push your hips slightly forward as you lift the elbows here. We're not going too deep into the back bend. We'd rather coming into a spinal extension, not so much into a back bend. And then releasing yourself back to center, coming back to sit onto the heels. Let's open the arms out wide. And then crossing the opposite elbow. So right elbow under, left elbow on top, into Garandasana arms. Push the forearms away, lift the elbows slightly, and soften the shoulders away from the neck. Engage into bandhas to lift all the way up, feeling that extension to open up the body. We're not trying to compress the spine, but rather to lengthen it. Squeeze the thighs, squeeze the hips. And then gently releasing yourself back down to center. Opening the arms out wide. And then take the hands up to the sky, engage into those bandhas. We're going to make our way into tabletop, but trying to keep the hands off the floor for as long as possible. So you lift up, reach the hands forward, and eventually place the fingers to the floor into tabletop. Let's tuck the toes under and lift into downward facing dog. Heel, toe the feet. Get a nice stretch through the back of the legs. In most of our yoga sequences, our legs play a huge role. We come into a lot of standing poses, do a lot of hip openers and hamstring stretches, and we're not going to do too much of that today, focusing more on the trunk of the body, less into the legs. Just give yourself a nice deep stretch into the hamstrings and the quads now, so that the legs don't feel too neglected later on. And then you're going to roll yourself forward into a plank pose. We're going to come into a supported plank now. So come over to your right side and bring your left foot halfway up the mat so that your left foot is in a tabletop. Taking the left hand to the sky. If you're very strong in this plank pose and you want to come into your regular side plank, please do. Otherwise, hold your supported plank. So you've got right hand down, left arm up. Press your heel away from your head, press your head away from your heel. The top hand can always come to the hip if you've got shoulder issues. Let's come back down and step yourself back into plank pose. Taking it to the left now, drop the left heel, right foot halfway up the mat, right hand to the sky. Again, the top hand can come to the hip, and you engage the core, engage the legs, take the weight out of the shoulder. And then releasing yourself back into plank. We're going to come down to the mat, dropping knees, chest and chin, or lowering however works for you to come all the way down to the mat. Bring your hands under your forehead, heels wide, toes pointing together. Relax your shoulders, relax your neck. And working now into our wide cobra. So open the feet to the corners of the mat, but keeping the heels behind the middle toes so that the lower back is in the right space. Bring your fingertips either side of you quite wide out with the elbows pointing to the sky. Forehead comes to the mat. And now we engage into the legs, push the pubic bone to the floor and float the chest up using the back muscles, not the neck. The shoulders are quite light here. You can even float the fingers off the floor. And then exhale to gently release down. We're going to do a few dynamic lifts. Inhale to lift even higher. Remember to keep the gaze looking down until you're at your maximum height. Then you turn the gaze forward, not up. And gently releasing down. This is going to look different for each of you depending on the flexibility of your back. Remember to move at your own pace, what works with your spine. No pain, no discomfort in the lower back. A really lovely sense of opening into the mid and upper back. We're going to come up one more time and hold it there. So even if you're only 2 or 3 centimeters off the floor, that's fine. Work with where your body is ready to go. Stay up and drop your chin to your chest. Inhale, lift your head to the sky. Come back to center and gently release all the way down. Bring your opposite hand on top, toes in, heels out, and take a moment to rest. From here, let's move into a child's pose, hands under the shoulders and sliding yourself back. I prefer to have the knees apart for greater lower back release, but if you feel comfortable with the knees together, that's absolutely fine. Drop the elbows to the floor so we're in a passive child's pose.
Keep tucking your tailbone towards your heels. And physically feel your spine lengthening. From here, start to lift yourself up and make your way into Malasana squat. So you're going to step one foot and then the other foot to the edges of the mat with the toes out at a 45 degree. Coming to sit down into the heels. If you find this is very challenging, again, you're going to use your rolled up mat underneath your heels. And this gives you quite a lot of freedom here. So even if you're fairly comfortable in Malasana, but it's not quite right, placing a mat underneath it can really give you a whole new experience in this pose. So we're looking to release the lower back by tucking the tailbone slightly in towards the front of the body and then broadening into the chest. Taking this into a twist by bringing the right hand out in front of the shin and the left arm to the sky. Be mindful not to let the knees roll towards each other. Keep the knees pushing apart. The top elbow can always come to the top hand can always come to the hip if that's more appropriate for you. Let's go to the other side, hands together at the heart, and then over to the other side, reaching that hand either to the sky or to the hip. And then coming back to center, making your way now into a flat back, hands to the floor, lift the tip, the bum to the sky, and then heel toe the feet hip distance wide. Let's open up the chest, hands to the shins. Press the weight into the front of the feet and reach your head forward. Flick your tailbone out. So we're looking to stretch the whole back body from heel to the tips of the sitting bones, and then from the tips of the sitting bones to the crown of the head. Try not to lock the knees unnecessarily and really work into lengthening that spine. We're creating some good traction into that spine. Stay in this flat back position and start to bend your knees slightly. Bring your elbows to the upper thighs and then push your head even further out, shoulders away from the ears. And you're going to feel this is quite easy to hold. There's a nice support into the lower back, and you can really open the neck, open the shoulders. Engage into bandhas, and I'll float your arms out to the sides. So now the shoulders have to work a little bit harder. We're still maintaining that same back alignment. You're now going to bring the hands in front of you. If this doesn't work for the shoulders, keep them out to the side. And now start to tip the hips lower as we open the chest without changing the position of the spine, keeping that lovely neutral back. Breathing deeply here. And then lift all the way up to stand, using the strong legs to come up. Interlock the fingers, turn the palms up, and avoid arching the back. Keep it into neutral. From the neutral, now we extend to lift the chest. Squeeze the legs, squeeze the thighs. Don't collapse into the lower back. Keep lifting up. Coming back to center, neutral spine, hands behind you. Interlocking the fingers as you roll the shoulder blades together. Aiming to bring the palms to touch eventually, if that's okay with you. Again, avoid arching into the back. Start to drop your chin to your chest. And now soften the knees as you forward fold. Really relax the body, let your arms hang heavily over the spine, working into creating a gravity traction here, dripping and melting the body. Let's release the hands down to the floor, and you're going to lower the knees to the mat. Swing the legs to the side, coming to sit, and bringing the feet out in front of you. Coming to lie down on your back now, so you can bend your knees and hold the back of the thighs as the first position, or you can start to work into straighter legs and floating arms, core rolling yourself to the mat. And all the way down. Let's bend the knees, hip distance parallel. Brush your middle finger onto the heel so you know you're more or less in the right space. And I'll squeeze the inner thighs against an imaginary block, engaging into the glutes. On the inhale, press the lower back flat and curl the tailbone. Lower back, middle back, and upper back. Walk your shoulder blades underneath the back body, maybe interlocking fingers if you've got the space to do that. Keep pressing the big toes into the mat, or the big toe side of the foot rather, into the mat, squaring the ankles, and then focus on lifting into that front body. Open the shoulders out, and then curling upper, middle, lower, sacrum, and tailbone down. Open the feet wide, knees together, arms in a T shape, shuffling the back around so it feels broad and supported. Let's take that into a second round of Setu Bandhasana. So getting your alignment, feet hip distance, hands next to the hips. Curl flat into the lower back and slowly lifting the hips to the sky. Walk your shoulder blades underneath your back body, interlocking fingers, and opening up that front body. Remember to keep lifting the pubic bone to allow space in the lower back. Puff the chest open, reaching your chest to your chin, not chin to chest. Broaden into the front body. And then let's open the shoulder blades out, rolling upper, middle, lower, sacrum, and tailbone coming down last. Take the knees into the chest. And then coming into a figure of four, you're going to place your right heel to the left thigh, thread the hand to hold to the back of the left thigh. You gently pull the left thigh in as you push the right knee away. We haven't done too much hip work today, so this might still feel a little bit tight. We don't need to exaggerate it too much, just working into creating an open lower back. releasing the glutes and the piriformis. And then switch the legs around, coming to left leg on top, figure of 4. And breathing into the space. So don't let the feet completely flop here. We want to keep this mildly active. Feet are gently flexed, and then you pull the right knee in as you push the left knee out. Keep working on balancing and supporting the whole torso. And then releasing the legs from there. Bring the feet as wide as the mat, opening the arms into a T shape, and then windscreen wiper the legs from side to side. Drop to the right on an exhale, inhale to the center, and drop to the left. And what you want to do here is use the top leg to actively pull the bottom leg up. So the bottom leg is passive, it's not working in the lift. The top leg will lift and the bottom leg will passively follow, dropping to the other side. You can turn your head away from the legs. And you'll find that when you work just the top leg in the active roll, the whole movement becomes really lovely and slow and methodic. Gentle oscillating of the neck. Nice open chest, open shoulders. And then the next time you drop to the right hand side, you'll hold it there. You have the option of placing your right foot onto your left thigh. This may feel a little bit intense into the hip flexors on the left side. So you can always place the foot back to the floor if that's better for you. But either way, take a nice deep breath in through the nose. And sigh the breath out. Let's release the foot back to the mat. Make sure it's as wide as the mat. Lift to center, dropping to the other side. Again, the left foot can come to the right thigh. Eyes closed, take a deep breath in. And sigh. Release your foot back to the mat, keeping it wide, drawing to center, and then hugging the knees to the chest. Remember to move one leg at a time for maximum control and making sure that we don't pull anything in the lower back. Draw the knees down as you flatten the lower back. Draw the shoulders down as you flatten the back of the skull. Press now into the mid and upper back, getting a lovely connection, rooting and stabilizing feeling. And release. Coming into Shavasana now, and you have two options. If your chin lifts up quite a lot in your Shavasana, you're going to place the mat behind your head to relax into the neck. If your lower back tends to arch, in your Shavasana, then you're going to place the mat behind your knees to make sure that the lower back is supported. So just working with your particular needs. I suggest you get a blanket or a jersey on for maximum comfort. And then again, depending on what's happening with your shoulders, you may want to bring the hands out to the sides, or maybe turn them so that the palms are facing down on the hips, and notice how that affects the shoulders. So either way is fine, just slightly different activations of the body there. Make sure your neck feels long. Make sure your spine feels spacious, that your jaw is relaxed. Let's take a nice deep breath in through the nose. And then stick the tongue out, lion's breath, as you sigh. Repeating that. And then completely softening into your Shavasana. Keeping your eyes closed, slowly start to deepen and lengthen your breath. Running your thumb over the tips of your fingers, moving your toes, ankles and wrists, sliding your feet together and extending arms overhead as you yawn or sigh. Bending your knees and rolling onto your side. Hold for a moment in your fetal position. finding the release and comfort in this pose. And then on your inhale breath, coming into a comfortable seated space. Drawing your hands together to heart center and Anjali Mudra. Or close the class by chanting Om once and Shanti 3 times. Taking a deep breath in. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Raising your hands to your third eye. The light in me sees and honors the light in you. Lowering your hands to your lips, to your heart, to your mat, bowing forward in recognition of your practice. Blinking eyes open, inhaling to lift. Namaste.